the studio with other people. So I'm going to start again. Good evening and welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Lessons from our fathers is what we're talking about this evening. It's a special edition of Monday Men Day. We've decided to do, as we end off, Father's Month. Little Father's Month. Men's Month. Oh, Men's Month. A whole Men's Month. Okay, Barke Men's Month.
Yeah, we know.
As we end off Men's Month, Father's Month, that month, we want to talk about lessons from our fathers. Absent or present fathers, how have they shaped your fatherhood journey? How are you where you are based on who your father was or who your father is? Is that what determined for you where you are right now in your fatherhood journey? Is that what made you who you are in that sense? So we've got a few guests that are with us. Thank you very, very much for joining us in the auditorium. There's still a few more that I think are coming and will probably arrive African timing. It's the fathers. Anyway, African timing. They'll arrive. I also have BONGANI LUVALO, who's always with me on a Monday evening when we're talking Monday Men Day. He's author of A Father, a Stranger and Mzansi's Memoirs of Fatherhood, and he's the founder of Cool Dads Foundation. Oh, no, hold on. He's an award-winning author. Did you see how he was waiting for that? Award-winning author before I get, yeah. And then I also have MBULELO MAYIKANA. He's an author of Choice and Decision-Making and founder of Contemporary Conversations, and actually an author of many other books. I think you've written 11 or more, right? Is it 11 or is it more? Around there. 11 or more. Thank you very much to both of you for joining us. I'll have more guests joining me, and I'll introduce them as we have them come and join me on the stage. But we basically just want to find out how your father has determined who you are and where you are in your space. The stories, the experiences that we have in terms of our parents and our background really determines where we go. The choice is ultimately up to you, really, whether you take it or not, or you use it the very same way. But it will shape it nonetheless. Yeah. So let me start there, Mhlalefang, if you can take us back to life, love, and all. All right, thank you very much, Mhlalefang, for that. We take it back to our studio now. We are coming to you live from the Radio Park Auditorium in Auckland Park. And if you're on the way, just, it's okay, listen to us so that you know what we're talking about as you get here, and then we quickly just get into it and move on. Now, let's talk about these stories. And I want to start with the story of who you are now as a dad compared to who your father was as a dad. BONGANI, let me start with you. And I mean, you and I have spoken about this quite a few times on air, about how your dad shaped who you are, but the difference in relationships that you have with your father compared to, or that you had with your father compared to what you have as a father. Let's talk about that.
Hey, I suppose mine has got some trickiness, a trickiness of being an award-winning. Because I have a father and then I have a dad.
Yes.
So when I say dad, I mean the man who stepped up.
Yes.
Became a stepfather.
Yes.
And then when I say my father, I mean the biological guy.
Yes. So we're talking biology and we're talking life lessons here.
Yes.
Yeah.
So for me, he was absent.
Mm-hmm.
He has never been there. I knew of his sister, who's my aunt, and he knew that there is a child that he has left in Johannesburg when he went back to KZN.
Okay.
And this is a man who came from a home where his father is alive. So he grew up with a mother and a father in the house.
So he had the... Are you trying to get at the point, Jahora, he came with a background of understanding what parenting is?
Yes.
Okay.
And his father, which is his grandfather,
which is your grandfather,
great-grandfather.
Huh?
My father's father, which is my grandfather,
right,
was there.
Was present.
Was present.
Right.
and his
grandfather. Correct. Okay.
So he comes from a line of present fathers. And one would not understand then why he would then decide to abscond his responsibility of becoming a father. You know? And throughout my life, and I would just fast forward after his funeral, I remember my partner at that time was asking me, why are you still, you seem so angry. And I said, I am, because I had an expectation that he would have fathered me.
Okay.
Ne? But when I look back, our spouse, where he is and what is happening in his family, in the household, and my siblings as well, then you get an opportunity of saying, was I in a better place being fathered by my mother and subsequently my dad, or it would have been better being there?
And what did you come up with?
And I said, it was better here.
Yeah.
You know?
Your mother mothered you. She didn't father you. Your mother mothered
No,
you.
definitely she didn't. But the realities of knowing that there is no, because I've always been surrounded by women. My grandmother, my mother, the aunts, and so on. You know? Yes, I grew up longing to have stories to tell about my father. Because on Monday when you go back to school, everyone is reminiscing about what was happening over the weekend. You know? And at my school-going age, I didn't have a father in the house. So I had to then say, the activities I did with my mother, I was doing them with my father.
Okay, so you had to make up stories.
Make up stories.
Okay, to kind of cover up for him.
So that I fit, not to cover up for him, but for me to fit in the conversations that Monday, because of everyone is talking about what they were doing with their fathers.
Okay. But MBULELO?
I think mine is different from BONGANI. I'm not sure whether to say perhaps I was one of the fortunate ones, because when I look at the role that my father played and reflect on it, not just for me only, but also for my siblings, we were not an addendum to his life.
Okay.
We were at the center of his life.
That's important, that.
So when you then look at fatherhood and the way that I see fatherhood and how I practice fatherhood is largely influenced by how he fathered.
Okay.
That we were not an addendum to his life. We were the center of his life. And so is my mother. So there is nothing that I would begrudge my father about and say, if only he taught me this, I would be a better father than him. In fact, when I look at myself, even now, even though he passed on a long time ago, I always father in a way that says, I dare not disappoint him, because he was a present and a father that put us at the center of his life.
Okay, so I want us to, just a quick reminder actually, we are coming to you live also from our YouTube channel and also Facebook Live on the Radio 2000 YouTube channel and Facebook, yeah? I want to also hear from our audience. So if you do want to share stories, please do. I want to hear about your dads or your, kana we say omunke father, omunke? Get dad, right. So I want to hear from the two and the difference thereof. The importance of this conversation is that whether you have a present or absent dad, the point is you need to father going forward. Now, the choice that you make going forward, or who you choose to be going forward, remember, in some 20, 30 years' time, your children are probably going to sit, have a conversation with some people like this. What are they saying about you? Are they going to be saying, he was never there, you know, I wish he had been there for me. I made up stories about him, but he was never there. Or are they going to say, yes, he was there and he was present? And we ask this especially because as Father's Month, the difference that it makes, and on the guys specifically. I mean, I can tell you now, as a daddy's girl, I know for a fact that even as a girl, having my dad around made a huge impact in my life. Very, very big. So much so that at some point he called me his boy. He was like, when are you the boy I never had? You know, I was that little boy that he never had. Well, he's got a boy, but I was the other one. So I want to know the difference then that it makes. I can only imagine that when you look at yourself as a man, now you're looking up to this person. What example did he give you, and how did that shape you? I spoke to some guys. In fact, I had some guys on the show a while back though, and they were talking about, the one guy was talking about how how the dad was just never there for them. Beat up the mom, never supported them, always made them feel like, you know, and he had a life outside of them. And interestingly, two brothers turned out totally different. The one turned out to be a doting father who just felt, I have to give everything to my child. Make sure that whatever I didn't get, I give to my child. The other one was like, I don't want anything to do with fatherhood. Clearly, this thing is difficult. If my father couldn't do it, then it means I can't do it. So you see, these are two people influenced by the same father, but came out so differently. The result of the two is so totally different that it got me thinking, what is it? What happens to you as a man when you're looking at this man who's not fathering you or who is fathering you, and how does that change? You find a lot of people saying, I could never be, I wish I was half the man my father was, and therefore I don't even think I want to try. You hear those stories as well. So how do we then go forward? What's the stories and experiences of the father? How different is the influence? I mean, if both of you are to be sharing stories, how different are your stories in terms of the experiences that you went through? You both still had the opportunity to be loved. It may not have been by a father, but you had the opportunity to be loved. Why is that so different?
Look, Aspas, at the end of the day, there is a role that a father, I think human beings generally, we please, and we want to please a woman and we want to please a man. You want to please your mother, you want to please your dad. So there are things that your mother would say, and you take them with joy, with humility, but also there is that pat on the back that when it's done by your father, it touches in a different spot.
Agreed. I'm hearing somebody saying "mm-hmm" in the background. Is that so? Okay.
And young boys, if you can check, even when they play sports, they'll kick a ball and they'll run either to the mom or to the dad. I've scored. Because if you're looking for validation. And your mama, it has got its place where it touches. And, Yandate has got a place where it touches. And for a father, you are looking for that, I am proud of you. You have done well as a man. Which hits differently than your mother having to say, I am proud of you. You have done well, my son.
To help you out there, it does not mean that the other one is not important.
Yes.
I just want to put it out there.
Both of them, they're important.
But and it should be understood that the role is played. These are roles that are not, they are played together. Mm-hmm. They go together, right? So we shouldn't at any point make the mistake of saying, yeah, just because, but at least your mother. No. We need both parents to be there. And the father being there makes a huge difference. The mother being there makes a huge difference. So we are not talking, I don't want us to even get into a conversation of, no, but the mothers are there. Guys,
no.
Yes, they should be. Right now, we are talking about this one.
A quick one, Auspas. The time I met my father, eye to eye, I think I was around about 20, 21.
The first time you met him?
First time. I saw a black, bold man standing next to me, and Uncle Peggy asks me, do you know this man? And it rang that this could be my father. Yeah?
Okay.
And a couple of months, his mother passed on. And something inside of me said, you must go to a funeral in KZN. But old as I am, actually I'm like 2 years later, I came back and said to my mother, I want to go to this funeral. And as a mother who has been holding the fort for so long, then she asked me, but who are you going to bury? Ne? And we had a conversation, but she couldn't understand, and she felt betrayed. Then I had to go to the boyfriend, my dad. No,
the boyfriend, your dad.
no, they were
Right.
married. I
Got
always,
you.
because he always said, "This is my girlfriend," even when they were married.
Yes.
Till today, I always say to her, "You are Project's girlfriend." I had to go to my dad and say, in my heart, there's this thing that says I must go there.
Mm.
You know? And look, I remember saying, at the age I am at, I have achieved so much. I'm about to get married. I have a home that I'm about to purchase.
At 21?
Yeah, Aspas.
Wait, okay.
22.
Sure.
Only
Sounds like each. Okay.
So I then said, right now, where I am, I don't need his money. I don't need isigo or any other, because sometimes we come back and say, ngidinga isigo, ngiyobikwa, and so on. Ne? Materialistically, there was nothing I was looking for from him, except for him to be a father figure. Not that I didn't have a dad here whom I shared everything with, you know.
So why were you looking for a father figure when
No,
you
remember
had
I was
somebody?
told, Hore, this one is the one that birthed you.
But the
So you've
point
got
is,
two things I was passing. No,
hold on.
it's a
Hold on. Why were you looking for a father figure when you had a father figure in the house? What else were you looking for?
my father, Babamlo.
Hmm.
Because of it's quite. I'm saying, there is
Hmm.
nothing
Mm.
that this man had not done to prove that he's my father. That's why even when I wanted to go to a funeral, I went to him and said, "Pa, please talk to Ma," because of I trusted him to carry the task of ensuring that as a father, he moves me where I need to move. But you still have, because remember that you are inquisitive on one, why didn't he want to be there? But two, what experience would I have? Yeah, what?
If he was there.
If he was there.
Right.
So unfortunately, that's what I'm saying. Throughout, from the time I met him and the time we buried him, there was nothing. It was a void that I wanted, an answer that says, this is why I was not there.
And you never got
I am
that.
sorry. Or I'm blaming who or this.
You never got that.
I never got that.
How long did he pass after you met him the first time? After how long?
Probably 10, 12 years. 10
Sure.
years.
Okay, so he had ample time.
He had ample time and he did not take advantage of it.
Do we have a roving mic? Do we have a roving mic? Okay. Just for our guests who'd like to share their stories. I want to tell a story, but the person I want to talk about is here. So, so I don't know if I should talk about him. Can I talk about you? Okay, great. I'm going to talk about him. Okay, I want to share a story that my husband shares, I think in his book, one, Pause, and also he's shared it when giving a few talks, talking about his dad, okay? And I found it a very, very, I mean, it's one story that I still marvel at. Yes, I marvel at him all the time. But anyway, this one story that I still marvel at. He talks about how when we were already, I mean, we were married and we had the kids already, all of them, many of them. And he arrived home from work to find his dad, at the house, right? Now, remember, backstory is that his dad and I were best pumbas. So his dad could literally arrive at Lekonna. So he was home. And when he walked in, the boys also arrived from school. And as the boys ran in, they saw him. And he, number one, had the dilemma. I hope I'm telling it right. He had the dilemma, Yahore, do I give my father attention? And remember, there's hierarchy. Ne? So do I give my father attention or do I give my kids attention first? But the kids obviously didn't care about that hierarchy. They simply ran in and grabbed their dad, which was him, right? He gave them attention and spoke to them and all of that. They were excited. Daddy, look at this. Daddy, guess what we did? Daddy, this is what happened in school. And they're all talking above each other and all of that. His dad is sitting there on the side watching all of this. And then they leave and they're now going to their rooms to do whatever. And as they walk away, now he's got the dilemma of, now I must face the old man now. I get sorry, Marie Nyagbon. But as he turned, his dad then said to him, you are the dad I wanted to be. And that for me is a wow story. it's a special story because it says, I've never actually asked him, but in my mind, it says, if I was never that father, if I was never that dad, I'm glad you made it to be that dad. And if you could never experience that with me, I'm glad my grandchildren are experiencing that with you. That's a strong, very powerful story. He was a strict man, to him, not to me. He was a very strict man, and made sure. I mean, yes, if it was not, he always says, if it wasn't, like, for example, if you had said that I need, if it's not about school, Andizi, again. So you'd rather even go as far as asking for chlorophyll if you have to. But and photosynthesis and all of that. But if it's not about school, he was not interested. But when he was much older, he then, almost saying, I wish I had actually indulged you as you indulge your kids. That for me is power. MBULELO?
Yeah, I think from what you're saying, I used to have a friend at varsity who narrated a similar story to me, where, sometimes when you would call home, you'd call your parents and maybe to ask for money and all that. When you're using those sticky box telephones and all this.
Yes, we are that old.
Yes. And he would hear me as to how I spoke with my father.
Mm-hmm.
And he would marvel all the time as to, is this how you talk to your father? I said, yes, this is how we have a conversation with him. And he said to me, the difference between me and you is the fact that you actually know your father.
Sure.
I know my father. It's not like I don't know who he is, but I actually don't know him.
I haven't experienced him.
Yeah. I actually don't know him, but the type, for instance, the way that you talk to your father and the type of conversations that you have, I wish I can be able to have them with my father. I cannot, because it's never opened that door for me to have those conversations with him. So even though he's good in terms of providing for me to be here at university, as you can see, that I'm well taken care of, but I actually don't know him. I don't know as to what is it that I can talk to him about, except asking for money when money is required in terms of university and books. But beyond that, I don't know him. And incidentally, I also visited him at his home, where I found him sitting with his father in the sitting room. There was no conversation between them. They were just sitting and watching TV. And I remarked as he was taking me out of the house as to, but why not having a conversation? That this is how we are.
Sure.
We don't talk. Like I told you, I don't know him beyond him being the provider.
I want to hear from our audience as well. You'd like to share? Go for it, Ma.
Hi, everyone. It's about fathers, right?
Yes.
And the interesting part is the impact it has overall. Listening to your guests now, or earlier rather, it was more, I understood this to be a point of identity. I think being a father is giving identity to your children more than it is about provision. It's about identity. And it's not just provision from what is said as a narrative to say a father must have money, this and this and that. So it goes beyond to identity. And therefore, what you're saying about your husband's experience is more that there was some identity. I think it was identity and affirmation towards that I gathered from what you were saying earlier on, to say having a father is having an identity. Then you getting identity, but it being affirmed at the same time. So it's how you take it further to the next page. That's how I understood it. And they said the truth is, even as women, continuously, we had fathers. So we have a father story to tell. So right now, it's in some instances, it's an absence. So when you talked about having a mother who's a stronger person, that person being a woman who's being a father as well, is having to be able to pull their identity from us elsewhere, to borrow the identity, the affirmation somewhere else. So then bring it to the story of a father. So to be able to be relevant as a mother in the space of a father, it takes so much relevance as well. So it's quite a lot.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Your name, Ma?
Sorry, Kinalebo.
Okay, thank you. Let's start with your name first.
Ke na Angel.
Angela?
Pain. Papa ka sala tlhokofala. Nka sere he was absent, but he was absent because he died when I was 1 year.
Oh, okay.
So I was raised by my mom, but there was Steve Bar. Ke kgopela ho bolela Sotho.
Bolela Sotho re tla ke tla translate.
Please.
A re tsa mic.
Steve Bar na sa dule le rena. Okay. Steve Bar na sa dule le rena. Ne dula ko hae, and then we were sitting ne re dula le ko ntlong le batho kaofela. So mama ne le the best mom on earth. Nka se mmui hampe. Nka se tsela especially to me because my life ne tlhakatlhakane. Ne ke sna life e sharp mo phelong baka until today. And I don't have anyone whiling on my side unless my son. So, and then the worst thing, my son didn't have Ndate because Ndate has since Amahana, Saluminyan. Because of my inasampat. And then mewa nailing wana mama or mama sanya keselo.
Mama's boy.
Then I don't need that. So when I go hoodie until today, I talk with before mama tlhokofala mama ne le papa because na me rela everything. My long hore the worst thing hore I didn't have support your family. Like mama passed away now. My family is not here. Like it's me and my son only. And I need them more than ever because I keep it permanent. I need some stuff. They have to support with but support. But abayo like I want to get learning get talk abroad. So Tabaya Papa and because I can tell more. But the only ways that I can say but Steve Basarana Nazam. Lelo Nasadulena but we were having dilated in Siguntung because na provider. Steve Ba.
Or stepfather.
So yena nazama na fa mama chele de hora support mama na kwe papa tlhokofala papa ne dead those dates ba sanya ke basadi ba bana ba bereka. So mama papa ha tlhokofala mama didn't he wasn't working. She wasn't working like you understand that hore nearly everything to us. But she did everything so that we can eat, we can do anything.
Thank you so much for sharing, Ma'am. It's such a difficult story, especially understanding where it starts with a father who has passed on. He didn't choose to not be present. It's not a choice. He didn't wake up and say, actually, now I'm walking away from this family. Right? But that led to so many other things.
Yeah.
And also leading, and also made worse by her having a child and that dad, now making a decision to not be there. It's a difficult one. I'm so sorry, Ma'am. Thank you so much for sharing. Let's go.
Hi, my name is Tsogofatso Tianisipula. Recently, I just published my first book. It's called Mental Decay. As the title suggests, the book is about my struggles, with mental health. And shall I continue?
Go on. We'll get you a mic in the meantime. Yeah.
Okay, yes. The book details my struggles with mental health. 10 years ago, I was diagnosed with severe depression, severe anxiety, OCD, and ADD. But one of the most leading theme in that book is my absent father. And I know firsthand what that trauma can lead to. I'm the firstborn of 3 boys, raised by a single mother. My brothers and I all have different fathers. So my father, he left when I was about 3 or 4 years old. And then came my younger brother's father. I thought, finally, I've got a father.
Yeah.
But then he left.
Sure.
And then my baby brother's father came. Again, finally, I've got a father. But then he left. For the most part, for most of my life, what I knew about men, what I knew about fathers, is that they leave. That is all I knew. And then after years, 10 years of struggling with addiction, with a lack of self-confidence, with a lack of self-knowledge, I finally got a job. And at this job of mine, there was a man, a male role model, and he saw something in me. And he told me that I was good. He gave me that pat on the back that I didn't know I had been searching for so desperately and for so long. Finally, I had a man who told me he loved me. Finally, I had a man who could hug me and guide me, mentor me. But then it turned out that this man was actually sexually grooming me. He was not looking to be my father. He saw the gap I had. He saw the father-shaped hole in my heart, and he saw an opportunity. He was a predator. When I found this out, it crushed me. I had struggled so much. I'd wanted this father figure for so long. And when that happened, I tried to take my own life. So this theme, this absentee father, it haunted me for most of my life, and it almost took my life. It is by no means small. This absence, it grows and it grows.
Yeah.
I ignored it for a very long time. I convinced myself that I didn't hate my father. I convinced myself that I was fine and that my mother was doing enough. But that hole was there, and eventually it almost killed me.
You know, I think we need to start by saying well done.
Yeah.
Well done. You're standing today. You're standing today, and that's your strength. So with everything that your father didn't do, you did it.
Thank you.
Well done to you.
Thank you.
That's amazing.
you.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful work. Well done to you. Well done.
You see, as he's saying, the void or the hunger, it's so deep, and the next person would be like, "But you've got everything, so what do you want?"
Sure.
You know, and actually, at times, when we go out of our way to try and find the answer to this void, we end up having to feel pain at its most. You know, because you then identify a male figure who seems like a symbol of what you are looking for. You know, but when you then say, "I think this is what I was looking for," and then they shatter your dreams. You know, and even if you meet him, and I think there's two things, MBULELO. The question of a present father, but who does more damage than an absent father.
Yeah.
And also the question of an absent father whose impact might not be felt because of somebody who might close the gap positively. Because right now, by the time you find a symbol of what you are looking for, and you are now consumed in that symbol, then it shatters you. You know, I have a friend who says, and I think the question of identity. So the friend of mine says, "I grew up, my dad was there. But my dad was a disciplinarian and a provider." That's how he identifies his father.
So that's all he was.
Yeah.
That's all he was. So I come back from school, I find my dad sitting on the couch reading Laduma, the news are playing. You know? There's no, you know, there's this girl I like.
There's no conversation.
There's no, somebody's bullying me. You know? There's no, oh, you know, I didn't understand photosynthesis until Menier so explained it like this.
Yeah.
You know? So it also becomes a question of, with the presence or the absence, what then becomes the identity of this father figure here?
You know, a lot of, and I know we're going to need to go to a break quickly, but just before we do, I'm also seeing that a lot of, maybe let's put it this way. Remember fathers, some 20 years ago, identified differently to fathers today. Yeah? So what fathering looked like in 1994 is different to what fathering looks like currently. So I want us to talk to that when we come back. But I also want us to talk about the fathers who are experienced differently by kids. I know of a family who the father was amazing, but he had a child outside, and that child thought the father was horrible. So same father, different experiences. When we come back. It wasn't me because it's still on. Testing? Can we take calls? Or, I mean, can we? Would we be able to? No, not necessarily. Okay, sharp. Oh, great. Okay.
This is your safe space on Life, Love and All.
You are live?
Radio 2000. Our music, your memories.
All right, so we continue with the show right here on Radio 2000. Thank you very much for staying with us on Life, Love and All. We're talking Monday Monday, but it's a special edition of Monday Monday. We're talking about dads. Following Father's Day, we're celebrating the role and impact of fathers in our lives, and we ask the question, what are the lessons from our fathers? Whether they are absent or present fathers, how have they shaped, I want to say our own fatherhood journey, and then I remember I'm not a father, but how have they shaped the fatherhood journey that fathers have to actually go through? Do we have a mic? Do we have somebody at the back who wants to add? Okay, let's go for it. We need a roving mic at the back there somewhere. Okay, as we get that, okay, let's go.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tulani, nickname Tuline.
Yes.
I'm a family law mediator. I'm advocating for fathers who wants to be in their children's life, but they are denied or they can't be there because of a number of things, either customs and tradition, or they think that the courts are against them.
Yeah.
So how are we helping those fathers where they want to be in their children's life, but the circumstances are not allowing them?
They're denied access?
Yes.
Okay.
For one reason could be he's not working.
Hashaula.
Yes, he didn't pay the damages. And according to customary law, if you haven't paid damages, then you don't have access to the child.
Maybe Tulani, let's ask you that question before we go on. We hear that story a lot of fathers who say they cannot see their children because they have not hlaulad. Yes. I want us to set the record straight there. What do the courts say? What is the father's right in terms of his child, whether he has hlaulad or not?
Maybe we should phrase it this way. What is the child's right?
There we go.
Not the father's right.
Even better.
Because in court, we don't look at the father's right. We look at the child's right. So if the family is denying access, they're not actually denying the father access to the child. They're denying the child access to the father. You must remember, children are not like pay as you go. They are not DSTV. You don't pay and you watch.
And then watch.
Yes.
As a subscription.
It's not subscription. There are those fathers who are naughty, who don't want to support. But that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for fathers who may not have means, but they want to be in their children's life. And we've helped a number of fathers to be in their children's life through sitting down and we talk with parents. Some of them, we force them to be in their children's life. Remember, South Africa is the way it is now because a lot of families lack leadership and direction, and that's what fathers do. The story that I always talk about is how apartheid has planned things to be the way they are.
Yes.
and it's now manifesting, even though apartheid is no longer there. They
had a bigger vision.
Yes, they took all the fathers and sent them to the mines, knowing that if there are no leadership within families, the flock will be scattered. So we now need to be conscious in putting fathers back into the children's life. In that way, we'll have a better South Africa. There will be less crime. There will be direction. People will work because they want to impress their fathers. There's a lot of things that fathers do in the society. We need fathers. We need that leadership within the community.
So when somebody comes to you and says, I want to father the child, I want to father my child, I really want to be there for my child, but I don't have anything, then you are able to, is it a mediation thing where it starts?
Yes, it is mediation, but it's not only funds that are needed to maintain a child. I'll make an example. A father went to the court asking for access. He's not working, but we had him playing a role in his child life. A child who was going to crash. In the morning, he will go and pick up the child, take him to crash. 2 o'clock, he knows that he needs to take him back. Others, when it comes to school-going kids, they do the same thing.
Yeah.
That time that they spend with the child is very important.
It's more a time thing than it is a money thing. We've made everything about money.
Money. But for kids, time is their currency, not money.
Sure.
Time spent with your dad is more than anything.
Sure. That's amazing that, eh? Especially because fathers are demonized for not being able to do certain things, but you want to be there. You want to give time. You want to give yourself. And somehow you can't because you're not working. Also not fair. But we need to, find. I heard somebody saying, well, no, has your time. and I thought to myself, yeah, has your time, I agree. But, we cannot downplay the role that a father plays. It's one of the most important things ever that you'll find. I look at, you look at kids around. You should see, guys, I'm a playful mommy. So I play with my kids and we have fun. When the dad walks in, I get ignored. Do you know how that hurts? I get so ignored. But it also makes you realize, okay, they have this. And it's now making sense, as you're saying, Moan. It's more, once they've done something and they come back, where's daddy? And then, Papa, this is what I did. And then and then Papa says, well done. It's like, oh my gosh, the world brightens up because the father said, well done. And I've said well done 5 times before he arrived, but hey, who cares? It's just me. Ne? Kibashiman. Kibashiman, ne? Bastout. All right.
I think one of the things that in fact, is my pet
1 minute before news
phrase is this thing that I like when we have conversations around where we talk about the manifestation of certain things in terms of our society. But I feel that it's even better when we're able to give meaning to why things happen. Because then that gives us an opportunity to then say, how do we prevent them from happening? Yes. So it is the same thing. I mean, if you remember the saying by Bishop Desmond Tutu, who says we should stop pulling people out of the river, but we need to go upstream and find out as to why they're falling in the first place.
Sure.
So if we do that as a society around fatherhood, that would then help us, because it's not like there are no societies within South Africa that are doing okay in terms of what fatherhood is supposed to be. There are templates that we can be able to look at. The question is, why with us, specifically within black people, we have such low rate of fathers that are present in terms of their kids' lives? And Tulani has started already in terms of taking us where it has come from.
We're going to go to the news, and when we come back, we're going to take this conversation even further. There's a little, I don't want to call it a skit. Are we going to call it a skit? Or anyway, Bongile will do a little something with some men here, just sketching. So, yeah. So it's a sketch. But we'll do that when we come back from a quick break. Please feel free to add to the conversation. I'm seeing a lot of but no additions to the conversation. I want to hear the voices. Let's add to the conversation when we come back.
If you missed it, catch the rewind on radio2000.co.za. Life, love, and all. Monday to Thursday from 7 to 9 p.m. with Mapaseka on Radio 2000. Our music, your memories. SABC News. Independent and impartial.
Thank you, Mapaseka. Top stories at 8. Court sentences a woman to 3 life terms for murder, and COSATU ready to protect the rights of South Africans. For Radio 2000 News, I am Ondela Mbana, and a very good evening.
Ondela on News.
Pretoria has sentenced a 47-year-old Pamela Selani to 3 life terms for murder. Selani was found guilty for the murder of her 2 lovers, Michael Changisa and a man known only as Gift from Malawi, as well as her son Avile Jonjwana. She was arrested in 2020 after her younger child disclosed how the 3 had died. NPA spokesperson Lumka Mahanjana.
The NPA welcomed the sentence and wants to send a message that it can never be overemphasized how important life is. Therefore, the NPA will be vigorous in our pursuit of these cases to serve as a deterrent to would-be murderers.
The ANC says the recent leak by some parties on cabinet positions through the media is an act of bad faith that will not help the cause of any party. Party spokesperson Mahlengu Mutsiri says it is only President Cyril Ramaphosa who has the final say on the appointment of a cabinet. Mutsiri's comments come after a letter from DA Federal Chairperson Helen Ziller to ANC SG Fikile Mbalula has been made public regarding their preferences for cabinet positions. These include Deputy President or Deputy Minister of Finance and Minister in the Presidency. Mutsiri says the second phase of the GNU negotiations is underway, and the President will concede an inclusive approach considering the election's outcome and the national interest. The Congress of South African Trade Unions says it is ready to defend and protect the rights of South African workers and will not be deterred by the DA. The Federation earlier briefed the media on the outcomes of COSATU's Central Executive Committee 3-day meeting. COSATU General Secretary Soli Petwe.
That's where we've got to worry about the role that the national government unity will play. As we said, number of people, political parties who are there are anti-workers. For an example, we're not apologetic to say DA has said that this house, this COSATU is the enemy of the economy. But we also feel that they are also the enemy of the workers, and that's why we decided that we will go publicly and condemn anything that is going to be attacking the issues of workers.
In news further afield, the United Nations Children's Agency says Sudan has the largest number of displaced children in the world as the civil war continues. The head of UNICEF, Catherine Russell, says 9 million children in Sudan don't get enough to eat regularly and 4 million face severe malnutrition.
It's the largest displacement of children anywhere in the world because we're seeing real numbers and concerning numbers of children who are suffering from malnutrition, including the worst form of malnutrition, which is severe acute malnutrition, which kills children.
Recapping the top story, the High Court in Pretoria has sentenced 47-year-old Pamela Selani to 3 life terms for murder. Selani was found guilty for the murder of her 2 lovers, Michael Changisa and a man known only as Gift from Malawi, as well as her son Avile Jonjwana. I am Ondela Mbana for Radio 2000. Next update follows at 9.
Are we together?
SABC News.
Pasi?
Independent and impartial. Radio 2000.
Are we together?
Yes, Lali?
You want to go on?
Give me...
Finished with on there.
Okay, give me just a few minutes. Just, in fact, a minute, just one.
And inform the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Direct any complaint in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa, PO Box 412-364, Craighall 2024, or send an email to bccsa@nabsa.co.za. For more information, please visit bccsa.co.za. Explore the digital space of Radio 2000. Connect with us on social media. Click through to radio2000.co.za, where you can listen back to conversations. Check out your favorite profile, stay up to date with upcoming events, and find out how you can advertise with us. This and so much more on radio2000.co.za. Radio 2000, beyond the airwaves. Our music, your memories. Life, love, and all.
40 seconds. Will you be ready?
Yes.
Okay.
With being in a group is understandable.
Yeah, I had a lot of claustrophobia. Yes, we friends, but socially, I always hung out with guys who were older than me.
Yes.
And when I was so young, like
Life, love, and all. Monday to Thursday from 7 to 9.
Stand by.
Mapaseka Mokwele on Radio 2000. Our music, your memories. From R&B to hip-hop.
Are you there?
Yes.
Soul and jazz. Music as you like it. This is Radio 2000. Our music, your memories. Trusted talk on life, love, and all with Mapaseka. Radio 2000. Our music, your memories. Monday is Monday.
All right, you are live. Stand by.
Mapaseka.
Right, Monday is Monday right here on Radio 2000. This is Life, Love and All. My name is Mapaseka Mokwele. Thank you very much to Ondela Mbana and the news team. Ondela is back again at 9 o'clock, and then just after the 9 o'clock news, Justice will join us with Mino and the Violence. For now, though, we are talking about lessons from our fathers, whether they are absent or present fathers. How have they shaped your own fatherhood journey, and where you find yourself today as a father? Joined by quite a few guests in the radio, in the auditorium. We are coming to you live from the auditorium, Auckland Park Radio Park Auditorium, and also live on our YouTube and radio and Facebook, YouTube and Facebook channels, right? It's our Radio 2000 channels there. All right, I've got Bongani LUVALO with me. Bongani is always with me on Monday, Monday. But we also have BONGILE MKHUMBENI, who's founder of 1,000 Circles and life and business coach, right? Thank you very much for joining us, BONGILE.
Thank you, Mapaseka.
Your mic, his mic sounds a bit low.
Is it fine?
Okay, that sounds much better.
You guys
Thank
hear
you.
me?
Not yet.
Okay, they can hear you in here, but I don't know if our listeners can hear you. Is that
No, we
better?
can't hear him.
Okay, they can't hear him. They can't hear him. So as we try and work on that one as well, Bongile lets us sketching that he does when he does his, 1,000 Circles events and all of that. So he'll have a little circle with 4 guys, and then that little circle, you will take us through what that is about and how you work on that, right? Yeah. But before we go there, Bongile, let's talk about your journey. Take us through your journey with your father and how he influenced the man that you are today.
Okay, for me, I've been following the whole conversation.
That mic is very low.
Their fathers. For me, my dad was muted. My dad was silent.
Silent.
He was present at home. I was raised by a father.
Okay, let's put the mic closer to you.
Yeah, my father was present, but he was muted. He was the kind of dad that was agreeable, a dad that
he must keep it
that
there.
didn't want to rock the boat, but he was a provider. My dad worked in the mines. He provided. Pardon?
He didn't want to rock the mom's boat.
The mom's boat.
Yeah. Hi, Bo. That's the boat to rock or not rock.
So he didn't want to rock the boat in the house. So it was agreeable. And I think the fact that also my dad was
was in the mind. It meant that we have a household where a father is not there, you know. And it became normal for us to not have a father. So a dad will come home sort of as a guest, you know. He comes, he brings the money, we count the money, and then he's a guest. But with this, it paints or it colors my life as a man to say that a father is not necessarily supposed to be home full time. So his parenting idea is about his provision and him being silent at home.
Sure.
And in that comes the wound. The wounding piece is that I can almost have felt that my dad rejected us or he abandoned us. He comes when and if he needs to come bring the money, you know.
And that's it.
And school events, he wouldn't come to school events. And so there's a wounding that happens unconsciously that we experience as boy kids, you know. And a lot of us have experienced that, you know. Like for instance, you get a situation where fathers are professionals that are doing very well in their professional careers. The accountants, they are lawyers who are performing very well. But every time they come home, they want their kids to perform optimally. That nothing about what their kids do is good enough. Now you are wounding your kids to believe that they are not good enough. To believe that sometimes they don't get love, that they are unloved, you know.
Or they're unlovable.
They're unlovable. So the most important piece in the work that we do in Thousand Circles or in the abandoning is to fix it with your father. As I say that a lot of us, basically fixing it is basically reconciling with your father.
But fixing it with a father that's not there.
Even when it's not there, there are processes.
All right.
In a simple process is that you have a conversation with your father, have an open conversation with your father, speak to him about what has happened.
You must
so
keep
that
the
you can
mic,
understand
please.
his viewpoint.
Mm.
Like for me, it was just to understand that when he wasn't there, he was helping the family to go financially. And I needed to have that conversation so that I understand how I got wounded and then how it affected how I showed up in the world.
But hold on. How do you help a child who has the same wound but does not have access to a father to ask? So the father's not available for them to actually say, Pa, this is what I am feeling based on how you behaved or on how you treated us. And this is where we are, because we also have those issues.
How do you want to reconcile with a man that never wanted to rock the boat?
Remember, Akere Lona as boys,
Yeah.
you still want the father,
Yeah.
whether he rocked it or not.
You want it.
You want
We
it.
wanted the dad to be there because he carries
Ish,
the big
unale
one that
problem
I
ya
saw it
mic-
come, that was
mic
here, was
placement.
that we want our father. We want to connect with our genealogy, to understand who we are, understand our bloodline, understand our gifts, understand our blessings, you know. And because, I mean, there's a drive. I mean, I was speaking to some men in the circles that I run, that I say, no, I just want to be close to him. When I'm with him, there's something that happens inside of me. That thing that happens inside of you is that if I am around or I find myself being mentored by men who does not carry my gene, they don't really understand me. And sometimes the wounding happens. An example that I will make is this. If I'm a lion and I'm raised by a leopard, or if I'm a leopard, I'm raised by a lion, every time I climb a tree, the lion will say, what's wrong with you? So
What are you doing?
What are you doing? A lot of guys end up not claiming their gold because they are raised by people that don't understand their genealogy. You know?
Sure.
And that is why then you find the cry, the biggest cry to say, I want where I'm accepted, where I'm understood. I want people that understand me. And they find it sometimes in the streets.
Can you not be loved by somebody who does not necessarily have or understand your genealogy? Is it impossible for that person to still give you the love and raise you as their child? Even though, you know, for example, they look at you and they're like, listen, you may be a fish and I'm an elephant, but the point is I'm going to raise you to be the best fish you can be. And that's all that matters.
Yeah, you see, that for me is, we talk to a father's blessing. A father's blessing, you can get it from any father, you know. As you talk about love, you can still get love from a stepfather, right? You can get love from any other man that can mentor you. I think a gentleman there spoke to his experience of fatherhood, where he got love, but it was a disguise, you know. But love you can receive anyway. Even a blessing, you can receive a blessing. But the blessings that we get from fathers who are not our fathers, they are generic blessings of values, of maybe good education, of how to behave, how to carry yourself as a man. But it misses the piece about what are people like me capable of doing. Yeah.
But you know, my biggest issue with that almost talks to adoption. How people always talk about, if you're adopting a child, for example, this child will never know where they come from. But they would have been worse off if they were not adopted. So what are we saying? Are we saying a father who is willing to be there, who may not understand or you know what I mean? All of those things. But he's a father who's willing and wanting to be there for you, raise you, support you, love you, take care of you. All of those things that your father is not willing to do.
I was bargaining fear of the unknown.
FOMO.
And I think my brother reflected on it. I came to an answer when I went down the slippery road of saying, this is who I want. And when you arrive there, you then realize it. Actually, I was more safer there. Because I've got a friend, Auspas, raised by his father, disciplinarian, professional, inculcated the culture of education. He's a professor now, the friend. So he grows up in a home where there's a mother and a father, so they know what black love looks like, because he saw his father kiss the mother and say, babes, love you. When he wanted to marry, fortunately or unfortunately, was in love with a woman who's of a different tribe. And the father then said, you can't bring us this tribe here. And because he wanted to fulfill the wishes of the father, he dumped his dear love and went and looked for another love. Fast forward, 12 years down the line, we must now facilitate or arbitrate and then allow lawyers in the court to say you are divorced. You know? So I'm saying that at times, and it comes back to what you were asking of two people who are coming from the same house, but their experiences takes them to two different journeys. You've got to be intentional as an individual. What is it that I want? What is it that my pain and my experience has taught me? You know? Because yes, I might have itrach or the confidence of having to be a better father than my dad, whether he was absent or there. Ne? Another person would say, I know the pain that was carried by my father. I do not have strength to carry it. You see? So we've got to, the things that we run towards, not all of them will look like what we had envisioned them to be.
I always say the choices that we make, you know, sometimes we use our experiences and we use that we see in front of us as excuses. Where we sit and say, well, I was never shown how to be a father, and therefore I will not father. You know? And then you sit back and you don't father because you were never shown. But there's a lot of things that you were never shown, but you continue to do.
But most of it happens in our psyche. It happens, we call it a shadow. It's a part of you you hide, you suppress, and you deny, you know? If your wound is that you were abandoned or you were rejected, you listen to two voices. We call it internal paradox, you know? It's either the voice will be that you will not abandon your kids or you'll abandon them. But if you don't understand the nature of your wound, then it becomes difficult to understand which voice you want to listen to in order to change your life.
Are you saying it's not a choice?
No, I'm agreeing with you, it's a choice, but it's a choice when the thing is you can make a choice from the shadow without understanding. But when you understand the origin, you do it consciously because you are aware. Every time you regress to abandon, with awareness, you quickly go back to not abandon. But there is awareness. You've had a lot of people that will say, no, now I'm doing it, I'm loving my kids, yes. But it doesn't erase the fact that you are wounded,
Off
that
mic.
you need to reconcile with your father.
Sure.
About the wrong things that maybe you might think that your father has done.
That needs to happen. Okay. I need you to move, Bongile, and come sit next to the guys here. As you do that, though, let's have a chat with TT as well.
Okay.
TT, you're the founder of Amatyma Wellness Network, right? You had, and hear me, Utla let me punt it. Ne? You had the pleasure of interviewing my husband and my son. Utla.
I did.
Good pleasure.
It was a privilege.
Yes, please.
And it was not an interview. It was a conversation.
It was a conversation.
Yes, it was a conversation between Tibos Mokwele and his son.
And our son. I was there. Huh?
Okay, yes, you were, and you were mentioned on the show.
Yeah, Once his son. It's
about fathers and their sons. Give us a break.
Tell us about the Amatyma network.
So the Amatyma Wellness Network is a network that I started in 2020 during the height of COVID, because I realized that there's a lot of conversations happening amongst men in different spaces, whether it's WhatsApp and whatnot. And then I realized that there's 3 wellness pillars that needed to be addressed within the network: physical wellness, how we look after our bodies, you know, how you treat your body; mental wellness, which, as we know, is something that is very taboo when it comes to black men. They still think into depression, anxiety. And then, of course, financial wellness. So we focus on those pillars because we understand that when it comes to money and men, the ego is always an issue with us, you know. We never openly talk about our struggles when it comes to finances. And as a result, we end up committing suicide, you know, going through these pains and pressures that we put ourselves under. So the network really is about looking after our wellness. We look after the wellness of men who are single, married, divorced, and widowed. And you're talking about me interviewing your husband. We've got a show titled like Tama Like Ndwana, loosely translated like Father Like Son, that I co-host with my dad. And the whole premise of the show is to have conversations with fathers and their sons. Let's have those conversations with uncles and their nephews. The boy child always is a man that they look up to when they grow up. There's always that father figure. So how do we unpack those uncomfortable conversations? And in one of the episodes, there's a man or a father who just discovered that he has a son who's 21. Just discovered this 2 weeks ago. Now to understand the psyche, what's going on in that man's mind.
And you've brought both of them together now?
Yes.
To talk?
100%. So those are the kind of, and interestingly enough, the episode with your husband is addressing the difference between a father and a dad.
Oh.
They explained it quite, you know.
I mean, Titi, don't confuse me, man. You know, just now, you were talking about a guy who didn't know he's got a 21-year-old, and then you say that conversation with your husband, and I'm like, what?
I'm throwing everything
wait.
in.
I think he knows his kids. Hey, you got me really worked up.
I got your attention there.
Yeah, you got my attention there. Okay, that's an interesting one.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the interesting part of those conversations, I mean, when I had a debrief from my son, you know, the one thing he was saying is he loved how he could just talk about his dad.
Absolutely.
And he enjoyed how he relates to his dad. But he actually liked how surprised you were looking at them. Hey, okay, this is an interesting combo.
Absolutely. And that's really the premise of the show, to kind of shine a spotlight on those healthy relationships between fathers and sons. So the whole idea is for someone who's viewing that and they've got a gripe with their dad, they need to go fix that whilst they've got the opportunity to. Because there are a lot of men in this room that will never have the ability or the opportunity to even have an opportunity to speak to their dad. And this is what the show is about, really saying, you still have an opportunity to show love to your dad. And dad, you still have an opportunity to show your love to your sons.
That's amazing. Yeah. Sure. Bongile, I'm going to give you about 7 minutes or so how do we're calling it a circle.
It's basically, it's a safe space. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
Just keep it closer to your mouth.
Yeah, it's basically, it's a circle. So it's safe. Guys can speak about their emotions. There are 5 core emotions, right? Which is joy, anger, sadness, shame, and sadness.
You said sadness.
Yeah, but in this case, we're just going to theme it around fatherhood, right? So I'll do what we call a high and a low. So a high will focus on issues that things that made you happy about your dad.
Oh, you're asking me?
No, I'm explaining how this is going.
Okay.
Explaining to everyone.
Yes. And then the low will speak to anything that made you sad, angry, or ashamed about your experience with your dad. I'll model it for you.
Okay.
For me, what made me happy with my dad, we used to dance, man. You know, there were nights when my dad will have one or twos when he was alive. Those were my happy moments. You know, he'll come back home and then he'll play his music. I remember it was this old Skyline. You know, there used to be this song called "There Is No Disappointment in Heaven." You know, these old people used to love the
his mic again, please.
So he'll be singing, he'll be dancing. On that song. So that made me very happy.
Because we can't hear him on air.
That was my happiest experience with my dad. You know, so maybe I'll pass the mic around as we check in. It's the emotion, the highs with your dad.
Name first.
Israel Murak is my name. Good evening, everybody. With my dad, I can firstly say my dad never went to school. Let's start there. And I was born in, I don't know what you call it, outskirts, where I was in the Bundus. I'm from the Bundus, you see, in Alual North. Plus, in the plus. I guess a plus Japi, okay. Yeah, okay. So what made me happy about my dad was very quiet, number one, but he would take time and say to me, "Wabona mewa how omanya. You must keep quiet. You see."
So
I was trying to say, be cool to your mom. Your mom is trying hard. And that kept me going until today. My dad is no more, but I'm still checking that part. I don't jump that one. When she's not happy with me, trying to see at home, I'm the boy, I'm a girl, I'm everything. It's only me with my mom, you see. So sometimes she would send me to go and buy something from a ShopRite. But I wouldn't find what I wanted from ShopRite. I would buy it somewhere else. And then I know there's a trouble coming. Why we rekamano sa rekamo? You are still a child to me. So to me, that touches me, you see, but nicely. And I say, I still have a mom. I still have a mom. You know, so yeah.
Your father, the lesson there from your father was treat women like that. All of us.
Yeah, and I think most importantly, let's leave the story. Let's stay with what made you happy. What
that mic.
About your father. What made you happy about your father? Yeah.
He's off.
Let's bring the mics closer, because otherwise we can't hear you on air.
Good evening. My name is Sello. I feel like you're pulling the rug underneath my feet now. Happy moment with my father? None.
Sure.
I grew up without a father. No, not in that way. It's a reality. I grew up without having a father, and it was a common sight because amongst the peers that I actually even grew up around with, it was not only me that actually even grew up without a father. So it became something that was actually accepted. Maybe if I were to put it that way, yeah. How do I feel? I don't know. I can't say I was sad or I was angry. What would I be angry at? I couldn't relate with having a father figure next to me that actually even raised me. But contrary to that, there were a whole lot of male figures that
Mike.
I would observe. I grew up observing, and yeah, as much as they would say that life doesn't have any form of a manual, that's basically how I'm even winging this whole fatherhood thing.
Okay.
Sorry, my name is Clive. My happy moments with my father, I'll say, was when it came to sports. He was a soccer fanatic, and he encouraged all of us, myself and my brothers. I've got 2 younger brothers. I'm the firstborn. To play soccer, and every time we were at the grounds, those were the happiest moments.
It's TT again. So amongst the many happy moments that I can remember with my dad, this one really stands out, and it actually manifests into the things that I do now. So the first time I actually got to wear a suit was because of my dad, and I was getting confirmed at church. And that led on to him also being involved in my second encounter of a suit, which was for my matric dance. And those are important moments because it taught me confidence. He made me understand the importance of being confident out there. And I think any man who wears a suit can attest to what it does to you. You know, from wherever walk of life you come from, if you put on a suit, you are ready to take on the world. And I think it inspired me to even start the Amatyma suit drive, where we collect suits that we want to donate to underprivileged grade 12 boys for their matric dances, so that you start them at that age. That suit is not only for the matric dance, it could be their first interview suit that they get to wear. It could be their graduation suit that they get to wear. So the confidence I have today is as a result of what my dad has instilled with those happy moments of a suit.
Okay, we'll go. Thank you for
Mike again.
Thank you for checking in with that. The second part of the check-in is to look at the lows, is to look at what made you sad,
See what he does.
made you angry, what you carry shame about,
He's now off.
and what made you, which fears did you have about your father? You see, it's important. Yeah. So for me, my sad moments were when my dad left to go to work every time. I carried a lot of sadness that he had to leave home, come home for weekends, sometimes for few hours, and leave and go and leave us and go to the mines. Now those were very sad moments, because that's when I developed the messages that he's leaving us, you know. And it left me scared to say that, who are we staying with here at home? Yeah, sadness and fear, you know. That's what I felt. I'm checking in with that.
Okay, my moments were, my dad used to work in the mines. So that meant he would go for something like 11 months without seeing him. And then when he comes back, stays for like 3-4 days from the office, and that made me feel, think deeper into myself. So it made me a little bit on the anger side. I wanted to push.
Yeah, so later we could learn. So ube jwang taba go ntate o sia ya mining for selemo kaofela atle for 2 days. Come back for a few days and left, because it would mean that maybe you could have felt that you were not fathered. Am I correct?
Oh, that's a bit hard. But I would say for my dad to come this time, nicely, it makes me to be a man. Tough. And then when I go to school, I wouldn't let you push me around because.
So you were tough.
I was thinking, yeah.
So you felt like you needed to be tough.
I needed to be tough.
So what about what you felt that he left? Because you needed to be tough. What is the opposite of toughness? Yeah.
No, it was a bit low for him to go as far as I would think.
The
whole thing, mama lonely, Lena lonely. Not really. Choice, understand ayozama broad. And there's no choice.
I'm liking the fact that you don't have a choice, but you're ignoring how you feel. So a lot of men are in that situation where they are told, or they are taught not to feel. You see, I'm struggling right now to get you to feel this thing. And I want you to be present with this feeling. How did it make you feel that he left?
Feeling.
And you see, the answer is also very important because it speaks to how we are socialized. That, as you are saying, they were indored.
Yes.
What does it mean to be indored?
Okay, it was like a message saying that I must fend for myself.
Were you hurt?
Both.
Were you hurt?
Yes.
Were you sad?
Yes.
Did it make you cry?
Almost. I'm a crybaby, yes.
Did it make you empty?
Yeah, I was empty in some ways, but I wouldn't let the other side
yes or no?
run on me.
Yes or no?
I'm my sister, yes.
Lonely?
Yes, I would feel lonely, yes, because he was a friend, yes.
Okay. Are you happy he's feeling?
No, I'm happy for now. I'm happy for now. I think we don't want to take him too deep. Yeah. And let's go to the next guy.
Sillo.
But I think I've actually even answered your question initially with my initial statement. Because I didn't have any father that I could look, well, that would raise me, I then looked up into the male figures that I had around me, and which mainly were my uncles, you know. And I wouldn't say because of them I would have had a couple of lows.
Did you feel happy that your dad was not there?
As I said, I couldn't relate. I never had one around me.
Okay. Did you feel happy?
No.
Did you feel sad?
But sad towards what? That I did not have in my life. That I didn't know. I think maybe you're disregarding that fact. That
no, I'm agreeing.
Whatever is it that I didn't have and I didn't know, I couldn't relate to, I wouldn't, yeah.
Can I jump in? You said your uncles were there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What made you feel sad about your uncles?
There's a story I actually once narrated to my wife. Rabafana went out to go play soccer, came back, and I had a fracas with another boy that clapped me, went back home crying. And my late mother was sitting with my uncle. And then my uncle said, "Boy, you're going to go out there and go and fight your battle. You're not going to come back here crying." As the famous phrase would go, tigers don't cry. I always say that. He told me that I think I was not even 10. He told me that tigers do not cry. And and unfortunately, it's a phrase that I actually grew up holding up to.
Did it make you happy?
Not.
Did it make you sad?
It taught me how to fight, actually.
Did it make you
doesn't
sad?
Well, it did, yeah.
Hurt?
Hurt, partly.
Now when you look back, does it hurt you?
Now when I look back, does it hurt me? No.
Does it make you happy?
2 minutes to a break.
Not that it makes me happy, it taught me how to survive.
I'm noticing, everyone is noticing, there's a lot of story. There's a lot of story about men, or with men speaking, narrating their stories instead of being emotional, speaking to their heart. We are more into our heads, right? The exercise here is to help men out there to understand the importance of speaking to the heart and live the story. Because ubudoda has a lot to do with the story that a man is tough. So what is it? Live your story a bit. Let's become a little bit emotional. But anyway, thanks a lot for checking in.
Before you check in, Clive, I think we have about a half a minute or so. Let's take a quick break so that when we come back, we'll check in with you and with TT. And then we wrap it up. Okay, let's take a break.
If you missed it, catch the rewind on radio2000.co.za. Radio 2000 is for the music head, the conversation starter, and the sports fanatic. Our music is for you, the soundtrack of your story. At 2000, we know that every whistle blow echoes beyond the field. And for that, we'll bring every sporting code into your home as it happens on and off the field. We fact-check our reports to ensure that the word on the street is legit. The mandate is simple, keeping you informed and entertained. If music be the food of life, then allow us to play on, reflect, connect, and dance to the global rhythm. Radio 2000, our music, your memories.
Hey there, need to know your TV license balance but don't want to wait? No sweat. Just send a quick SMS with your ID or TV license number to 44210. Remember, standard SMS rates apply. And presto, your balance pops right up anytime, anywhere. It's as easy as pie. So why procrastinate? Give it a try and get your info in a flash. T's and C's apply.
Lindelani ladies want to change gears against reigning champs to relocate from the danger zone. However, Banyana Style say they will conquer the game and grab the vital 3 points. Etta Queen meets Clorco. This is the Hollywood Men Super League. Catch the Mzansi Queens on the page. Lindelani Ladies FC versus Mamelodi Sundowns Ladies FC on Sunday 30 June at 2:30 p.m. Live on SABC Sports on DTT Channel 4, SABC 1 and SABC radio stations. Also available on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Hashtag we love it here. Brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
Weekend mornings.
Silangozi chilling with us.
He's here with his drum like he is on fire.
Well, hit it there for us so we can hear it.
Hey.
Yepo, that's it.
This is just an old man in a young man's body. I love music. What genre would you say your music lies?
I'll say it's Afro jazz, and the song that I just dropped now is closer to who I am.
The current single that you just dropped now is Babagazi.
Yes, Babagazi.
Weekend mornings 6 to 9 a.m. with Mlu and Nala on Radio 2000. Our music, your memories. Your favorite music.
Stand by, Pasi.
Your favorite station. Radio 2000. Our music, your memories. Life, love, and all.
All right, you live?
Monday to Thursday from 7 to 9 p.m. with Mapaseka on Radio 2000. Our music, your memories.
All right, so we continue with the show right here on Radio 2000. Thank you very much for staying with us. We just about, can you believe we're almost done, 2 hours gone. Almost there, hey? So I want us to quickly wrap it up. We've got Brian and Titi who are going to check in, right? They're going to do their check-in, and then we wrap that up, and then we can have our audience as well as part of the conversation as we wrap that up as well. All right? Clive, let's start with you. Ghana, what are you asking Clive?
Okay, Clive, you can check in. The lows. What made you sad?
No, hold on. You did the lows.
Yeah, lows. This is their lows. Just the lows. Yeah. Those are your lows. 4 emotions: sadness, anger, shame, and fear. Yeah. That you felt through your experience with your dad.
Earlier on, I spoke to you guys about what I enjoyed, like being at the ground with my dad. Basically, that was the only happy times with him. And then, thank you. As the previous speaker, I forgot his name, mentioned that one of his friends told him that you'll find his father sitting, you'll find his friend's father sitting with him watching TV. That's basically, I could relate to that. That's how it was with me and my dad. My dad was a teacher. I would come back home from school. We all basically came back around the same time. So you'll be sitting in the TV room. If I go there, then he moves to the bedroom to watch TV in the bedroom.
So you're telling a story. Very interesting. Yeah. Emotion.
Emotions. It made me feel sad.
How did it make you feel?
Very sad.
What?
I hated him. Yeah, I hated him a lot. Because the thing is, when my friends told me that they would sit and have a chat with their dads while watching TV, and I couldn't do that.
What message do you get from his actions? What did it make you feel about yourself?
It made me feel less important.
Less important?
Yeah. In a way, at some point I felt like maybe I'm not his child, you know.
Rejected.
Yeah.
What else did you, how else did he make you feel in the low side?
It was just sadness and hatred.
So I won't take you too deep, Basi, for this session. The idea was just to demonstrate it.
Okay. Thank you, Clive. Let's go to Titi.
Sure. So when I reflect on my side, I think the low moments was in school, especially when it came to sports and activities that I used to get up to, and my father was just not there. And there was obviously circumstance. He had a 9 to 5, and most of these events would take place during the day. So, but I would have that feeling towards him to say, but other fathers are here. Why aren't you making a plan?
How did it make you feel?
Very upset. And also I felt that, he should have, made a better effort to be out there. But obviously, I was young. I didn't understand what was involved in his job and his work and what he had to do.
What did it make you believe about yourself?
It took away a bit of my confidence because I would see how other boys performed. I mean, I was in a boys' school, and I would see just to have your father there, and the few times that he could come, I would do way better just because he's there. It was one of those psychological boosters that I knew that my father's watching me, and I can't mess up.
Wow. That approval.
Yeah, that affirmation.
That affirmation.
Thank you.
I will thank you for checking in.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Bongile. Wow, that was a powerful session, hey? But the most powerful part is realizing how difficult it is to talk about emotions, eh?
And also the stories. I think we are stuck in stories as men.
Yeah. But I think it's the closest way to expressing oneself when it comes to a lot of men. How are you feeling? No, the thing is manghamba. How are you feeling? No, kahle mangkhona. How are you feeling? No, indaba ukuthi. We never get to how are you feeling.
Indeed.
And interestingly, this conversation also says a lot about relationships.
Indeed.
It's just that we won't go into that now, but it also says a lot about relationships. You find a lot of women complaining about, my man doesn't share, doesn't talk about his feelings, I don't know what he's going through. And he comes back and he shares stories as opposed to sharing emotions.
But also our fathers,
so it's a lesson.
Our fathers went there, someone was talking about colonization, wars and everything. They went there to model the idea of feeling. Because they became muted in their homes because they don't know how to communicate emotions. Yeah. Thereby they become violent. Then you find gender-based violence because men don't know how to speak about their emotions.
So you should hear me. I've got 3 boys. Big girl and then 3 boys. Now, with the 3 boys, what I try and do, and they come and report, Mama kiwile, Mama, my toe hurts. How does it feel, Nana? They don't get it now, but and I think the only one who gets it is Taboza now, because he's old enough to understand it. But the whole point for me is to say, boys are never given the language. They're never given the words to use as they get older, to say, share with me exactly what you are feeling.
Emotionally.
Don't explain what happened. How are you feeling? So a little story about how the one felt into the 13-year-old felt he's big enough to go out on his own and leave his little 10-year-old brother, because the 10-year-old brother is now a baby. And I sat down with the 10-year-old to say, how are you feeling? He was like, oh, fine. No, Nana. How are you feeling? Are you upset?
Yeah.
And after a while, he was like, yes, I don't like it because I miss him, because I want to spend time with him. Then I sat with the older one. So, Wena, how are you feeling? Oh, I'm so happy because I got to spend time by myself. But I was like, you know what? They still love each other. But they need to be able to explore their feelings and appreciate what they are feeling and what they're going through.
And because we never had it, it's very important for us to have these conversations.
Yeah.
To understand that we are not fathered wholly. That some lessons that we have become good assertions in a boy child, a man out there's life, to start emoting, to feel.
But I think the one thing that we need to teach a lot of fathers is to continue fathering your younger self. So as you are a dad, there's still your younger you that's crying for attention, that's begging for affection, that's begging for so much more from you. Father that little boy. Go back and talk to that little boy. How are you feeling? Where are we now? And Father, heal yourself. Sometimes we put so much emphasis on other people healing you when you could be healing yourself.
I just wanted to also note when it comes to feelings, and you guys will see it on the show with my dad. My dad, I'm 45 years of age, and my dad struggles to say, I love you. So even on the show, I take him on, and I say, Dad, I love you. Guess what he says?
Yeah.
He can't say, I love you too, my son. It's just not in him, and I'm not sure if it's how they were raised, and it's that generation that just cannot utter the words, I love you. It doesn't mean he doesn't love me, because I know he does. He just can't say it.
I want to love. Love, are loving. Everybody must just love. Okay.
Thank you so much for another chance again.
I'm going to need you closer to your mic.
Okay. I didn't introduce myself last time.
Yes.
But what I need to say is that this fathering thing, it bleeds onto a woman, girl children, how we're molding our girl children. A few years ago, early when I was waking up in my years, I counseling. And the words that were said by the lady who was counseling me was that the problem I have is that I've fallen in love with my father.
Sure.
So as soon as my mom went to work, I knew I had to sleep with my father. So being
wait.
I was 5 years old.
Sleep, Robala, sleep, sex.
Until I woke up, I woke up, I'm seeing his private parts. Now he was covering. So what I'm saying is the long term of it is that it changes your identity, your feelings as a girl child. To be a father is the girls that you're raising, your princesses, your daughters, to say, can they relate to you as a father figure? I went to work, and if I can tell my life, working, when many would look at you as a sex object rather than a daughter, a woman. So what tends to happen with the wrong fathering? And I looked up to my uncles, thinking they're my fathers, and then they saw something they could take advantage of. So that whole idea of fatherhood to continue, it got stopped unexpectedly. So to be a father is really beyond. So I need to know who I am as a girl child. I need to know that I'm safe. And this is what it means to be a girl in this whole world.
Sure. Thank you so much for sharing that. Let's take you to Anele.
No, I just wanted to share a few points, and then the first point I was picking up as I was listening is that a lot of us don't actually get to the definition of what is a father. So we explain what a father does, like he's a provider and all of that, but what is a father? So the definition of the word father is the founder of a lifestyle. That's what the word father means. And then the definition of fatherhood, the simplest one is that fatherhood is a memory. We remember our fathers, whether present or absent. We remember them. We remember them for the words they said and the things they did not say, what they did and what they did not do. And so the definition itself of father is actually expressed or demonstrated in fatherhood. Whether we are present or we are absent, there's a lifestyle that the children that you bore now have to inherit or will automatically inherit. Whether you're a good man or a bad man, there's a lifestyle that you modeled. And when it comes to fatherhood being a memory, whether it's the boy child or it's the girl child, it is the memory of you as a man that your children, either when they think about you, they find courage, or it is the memory of you that leads them to find healing, because now you have become a wound in their lives.
Sure. That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that, Anale.
Good evening. My name is Dora Mgwevu. My experience is very different because I only remember my biological father until five years when I was 5. But I only remember noise in the house. And I say big ups to stepdads because then I had a stepdad, but also he was an absent stepdad because he took us to another country. And I was raised by my stepdad's family in Mozambique. But that made me to become a woman who doesn't have respect for men, because I had 2 brothers, and subsequently I lost them because they passed on. I never had a son, I never had a brother, I never had an uncle. My uncle was absent. I never had a father. Relationships, disappointing, first and second. So when I look at men, ke bona batho ba reng a ke ba hlomphe, and ha ba nrumula hair e ba ke blood top casket nka se jwalo. So absence ya bontate maphelong ya bomme e etsa gore le wena o sheba ka le ka mosadi o na le lenyatso ka Sesotho o sa hlompheng.
A disrespectful woman.
A disrespectful woman. But because I had to face the world alone and fight and break in, ha ke tlo fumana mosebetsi ka sebetsa mining, and o go mining happy bana ba ne ba sa sheba basadi ka tsela because bezothi sishiya abafazi emakhaya la kuse mine la kuna bafazi la. So then you have to equalize to them. So you have to climb the ladder and become at the same level. He's looking at me because he knows me from somewhere. So I can struggle to relate le batho ba bontate. And I relate to Abutiselo har I don't know. I never missed my father. I don't miss.
You don't miss what you don't know.
I don't miss any man. I don't miss any. Some of those things I don't miss. Thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you. There's one more there at the back. Just here. Oh, okay. 30 seconds.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ntlanhlanzela. On a lighter note, I like to say I had the greatest father of all time. So, my child is 7 months old now. I'm 40 years old. So, do I wish I had a child earlier? Yes. But was I ready to be a father? No, because I was out in the clubs,
living your best life.
Yes, but but now I'm married. I want to be a better father than what my father was to me, because I think had I done it earlier, I wouldn't have, because he was just a great man.
Well, that's a lovely way to wrap it up. Thank you very much for helping us with that. I think as we wrap it up, I have a challenge to men. Ask yourself today when you get home, before you sleep, if you were to drop and die today, what would be your children's memory of you? Is that what you would want for them to be the last thing they remember about you? Are you that father? Are you happy with what you have done so far? If you are, that's amazing. Hold it, keep it at that. If not, when you wake up tomorrow morning, start doing something different.
Sure.
That change has to start. It's immediate.
Yeah, it's a great challenge, and I agree we should go there. But I think we owe it to ourselves, not as fathers, but first as human beings, 2 as men, and 3 as a father and a partner, to fetch our toolbox of knowing how to describe how we feel, irrespective of circumstances. Because it's a continuous thing for us all, irrespective. You might think I'm woke, but I know the journey of not having to explain your feelings. So I think we owe it to ourselves to go and fetch the toolbox to know how to describe where we are emotionally.
So maybe part of the challenge is to also go back to those emotions and try and feel them and explain them and describe them.
Yeah, and I think... Yeah.
And it's okay if you cry, hey? It's actually...
Yeah, it's okay to cry, but I think... so we are available to host men to teach them about these check-ins, about emotions. Here in Joburg, we have the abandoning circles. That's where men can actually come in. They can call in. We have our foundation, which we use for pro bono services. So we can make it around, you know.
So if men need help,
if they need help, they must call us.
Okay.
Join, yeah.
I'm going to leave it there because it is 9 o'clock. What we'll do, though, is make sure that all our guests, at least our panel, your details will be on our socials. So for Titi, for Bongile, for MBULELO, and for BONGANI as well. All the details will be on our socials so that if you need to get a hold of them in any way, you can do just that. Thank you very, very much for being part of this show. I think we've had an amazing 2 hours, so give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you very, very much. And we now go to the news with Onda Lambana, and then after that, Justice will join us with Mino Mino. We're back again tomorrow evening between 7 and 9. We'll see you then.